הוא מאוד קשה.
כן, אני רואה שיש לו בעיה.
לפעמים רק פותח ולא סוגר. אז זה בעל המקצוע, פה הוא יגיד לנו מה לעשות. הוא יודע מה לעשות. יש פה מפתח אם אתה רוצה.
לא צריך מפתח.
אוקיי. תודה רבה. תודה רבה. Thank you. Okay, let's open up the books about the festivals. You grab them, Yosef. Okay. Israel, how are you? He's your neighbor. How long have you been living, moving from India?
I was in Israel for like almost 2 years.
2 years?
Right.
There's a fellow who's trying to come over from India for a long time, Shah and Raj.
I think I know him.
You know him? He's part of the Bnei Israel community.
He's also from the south, I think.
Also from the south, yeah.
There's a community in...
כרגע אני לא רק על לשאול תחת, טובה, שנייה עוזר להם. עד שאני אצטרף לזה, כי היום אני לא פה, אני הולך.
אוקיי, תודה, אני אגיד לכולם.
So when you just
One turn, not twice, not two turns.
don't double lock the door.
Okay, thank you. Okay, could I have a book too, please? That'd be great if I could have one of these. We are learning the laws of the festivals. Good morning, Benjamin. How are you? Good, good. Sorry for the lateness. I'm not feeling well, but we're gonna persevere.
You made it.
I made it. Mazal tov, that's right. Let's learn Torah. We on page 223, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, we went beyond that. Yeah, 229. Actually, we're going to get practical. We only have a few days left. What's today?
No, the Shavuot.
Yeah, Shavuot's coming. What day is today?
Sivan.
Bet B'Sivan. What else?
So 46 days.
46 days of the Omer. Good. What else? Parshat Naso. Good. What else?
Monday.
Monday. Good.
May 22nd.
It's very interesting. Do we say Tachnun this morning?
No.
No. Why not?
There's a Torah reading.
Oh, many times we say Tachnun when there is a Torah reading. Good morning.
This is from Josh.
From Josh.
Yes.
To me. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Thanks. Dor, the Nisimus here. You helped with the door, I understand.
Yeah.
This is Dor. He helps with the door. He said until he manages to fix it properly, if you do lock the door, only lock it once. Like only one turn, not two. Okay? Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, there's a chair here. Could we make room for senior man?
Who's sitting there?
Michael Arya, this young man.
Oh, young man.
Young man. Good morning.
Good morning.
In any case, we say Tachnun when we read from the Torah. Doesn't mean that every time we read from the Torah, or every Monday and Thursday. There's even more Tachnun than usual on Mondays and Thursdays. So that's not a good enough reason why we do not say Tachnun this morning.
Yeah, it's quite unusual because I know that the longest version of Tachanun is Monday and Thursday.
Right, so the fact that we read the Torah on Monday and Thursday doesn't mean we don't have to say Tachnun. Why didn't we say Tachnun yesterday?
Rosh Chodesh.
Rosh Chodesh. Good, that's a festive day. Tachnun is a supplication part. It's part of the Shacharit Mincha prayers, which is usually added right after the Amidah. And it has some elements of I'd say severity, seriousness, moroseness. So whenever there's a day there's some kind of commemoration, which is a little bit festive, we skip out the Tachanun. Give me an example. Other days which we don't say Tachanun.
Chagim.
Nachagim, of course. We don't say tachnu.
When there is Brit Milah in the morning, right?
Oh, good. When in the synagogue, when there's a Brit Milah, we don't say tachnu.
There is a Brit Milah earlier this morning, that's why.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good to know, but that's not why. Where I davened, also, there was no tachnun, even though there was no Brit Milah.
Because today is Rosh Chodesh, yeah?
Today's not Rosh Chodesh.
No, not today.
Today is the second day of the
Yeah,
month.
the second day.
Second day?
Okay.
Preparation before Sukkot.
You're
Preparing.
Shavuot.
very interesting. How many days do we prepare for Sukkot?
Shavuot, right?
Shavuot. Thank you.
2 days, 3 days to go.
3 days.
3 days to count and
3 days, right? There's this concept, we're going to read about it, that there's, we mentioned yesterday, the Torah, when it describes the getting ready for the giving of the Torah, it says the Jewish people arrived at Mount Sinai on the 1st of Sivan, on the 1st of the 3rd month, and then there's a back and forth. Second, God comes to Moshe on day 2, and he gives him a mission statement. He says, go to the Jewish people, tell them I want you to be a holy nation, kingdom of priests. Pretty beautiful stuff. Moshe says, okay, I'll go tell the Jewish people. He comes down the mountain and tells the Jewish people, and then our tradition tells us that every time Moshe went back up to the mountain, it was first thing in the morning, so it's another whole day. So that's already the 3rd. Goes back up, tells God, Jewish people said, green light. We're in. Phew. Now 7 Ishmat, close. Actually, if you look in chapter 19, it only says Naaseh. Only in 24 does it say Naaseh Ishmat. According to Rashi, for example, we put the 2 stories together, and actually they said Naaseh Ishmat before the receiving of the Torah at this point. In any case, then God says to Moshe, okay, we got a deal. I'm going to reveal myself to the Jewish people. Wow. But they've got to prepare. Got to be ready. So go and prepare for 2 days. Hayom u'machar. Today. So they go, so Moshe comes back and tells them to prepare, but then he tells them to prepare for 3 days. It's a little confusing in the text, a little ambiguous. The way our sages understood it is that Moshe added a day. I don't know exactly why. Moshe knew why. It's something to do with the laws of purity and impurity. Part of the...
Nida.
Not Nida, because that would take 7 days. But there's a lower level of impurity from a seminal emission. Someone sleeps with his wife. He becomes impure, or his wife may become impure, both of them. For how long? Well, until you go to the mikvah. You go to the mikvah 1 day. You don't need 3 days for that. But the sages have this concept that perhaps the man's seed will stay in the woman's body for another day and another day, till the 3rd day, and then if she has an emission of that seed, then she becomes impure. So the woman will be impure for if they have relations in any of 3 days before receiving of the Torah. So anyways, this is a rabbinic explanation. Our standard understanding is that there are 3 days of preparation. What are these days called? We'll see it soon in the text. It's called Shloshet Yimei Hagbala. What's a gvul? Who knows Hebrew?
Gavur?
Mishmar Hagvul. Gvul.
It's a board.
A gvul is a border.
Gavur.
Gvul is a border. Mishmar Hagvul is the border police. I thought that's why you might know it. Because you youngins who are going to go into the army soon.
How it's called? For the Gavur police? Magaf, Ken?
Magav is a
Brand,
is
organization.
Magav is the acronym Rashi Tevot Mishmar Hagvul. Magav, border police. Mishmar Hagvul. Gvul is a border.
Nice.
So why are these days called Shloshet Yemei Hagbala? Good morning, Dimitri.
Good morning, sorry.
It's okay. Because not only when God told Moshe that he's supposed to get the people ready, not only did he told them to separate from their wives so that they're not impure when God reveals himself, he also told them something about the mountain. Who remembers?
What, sorry?
Something, God told them something about the mountain,
Yes.
getting ready for the revelation,
Put,
for the mountain. Somewhat?
no one or animal can come touch the mountain.
Exactly. He told them to put up a border around the mountain. Higbalta et hahar. Same word, gvul. Supposed to make some kind of a fence. I don't know if it was a physical fence or a perimeter, which was marked off in some way. Higbalta et hahar. You shall separate off, make a border around the fence. Nobody's allowed on the mountain. I don't know, maybe Hashem wanted to make the place special. Maybe we have to recognize that when we approach God, we're approaching something which is really unapproachable. We shouldn't feel that we can get too close, or that we can actually have, access to the essence of God. We merited to have a revelation, but every revelation has with it some kind of a distance. Has to include a distance. Maybe because of the distance, we'll then appreciate the closeness. For whatever reason, God told Moshe, make sure that the people do not go up to the mountain. They don't cross over. Even an animal's not allowed to. And whoever does will die. Somehow he'll be stoned or be thrown down.
Shock,
Maybe electric shock. I don't know.
I thought
Well, we know that there was going to be lots of thunder and lightning. Lightning is very, very high voltage. You wouldn't want to be a lightning rod on that day. And if you're closer, and I think lightning it gets the highest thing, right? That's why we put up a lightning rod, the highest, so it'll strike there, not down by us. So maybe that's a nice image. Anyways, it's a spiritual idea. Obviously, God tells Moshe. In my mind, it's clearly not physical, but it's a religious principle. You're not allowed to be on the mountain for the 3 days. The way it worked out, it was 3 days according to our tradition, not 2 days. So that's why they're called Shloshet, 3, Yemei, days of Hagbala. Hagbala means borders or boundaries or being bound in. Or in this case, it's being bound out. Hagbala, that the mountain was bordered for 3 days. Shloshet Yemei Hagbala, the 3 days. Yemei Hagbala.
How you write Givul? Gimel.
Sure. Gimel. Yeah.
Lamed.
This is Gvul.
And in Hagbala, the vet becomes a bet again.
That's right. Shloshet Yemei Hagbala. I'm doing this backwards.
This be fences.
Hagbala means bounded. The 3 days of you don't say foundation.
Limitation.
What?
Limitation.
Limitation. It's better, but the word boundary is what I want to use, but how do you say that in English? 3 days of being bounded?
Binding.
Binding?
3 days of
being bound? 3 days of being a foundation? That's a nice word, foundation, but I don't think it exists. We can make it up. Let's just call it Shlosha Yemei Hagbala of separation. 3 days of separation. Separation from the mountain and also separation from your wife. So separation maybe is the best way to translate it. So that means that what day is Shavuot? Hananel, on what date is the festival of Shavuot? Nope. Gotcha. I got you. Let's start with Pesach. Ravid, what's the date of Pesach? Excellent. You weren't here yesterday, but you must have been listening. Okay, Dimitri,
Yes.
what's the date of Yom Kippur?
Well,
You can't remember?
I don't know.
You don't know. That's fine. You weren't here yesterday either. You miss a day. You miss out. Shmuel, tell us what's the date of Yom Kippur?
10th of Tishrei.
10th of Tishrei. We are experts on the Hebrew calendar in this class. Right? Binyamin.
Some exceptions.
Binyamin, tell me, what's the day we start counting the Omer? Do you remember we talked about it? The day we start counting the Omer, we brought an Omer sacrifice in the temple of barley. What day was that?
Nissan
Yes?
6.
16, you got it. 16.
No, I thought
16.
6.
Nope. 16.
16.
The day after, the first day of Pesach. Very good. Now we'll get to Yisrael. What day in the Jewish calendar is the festival of Sukkot? Comes after Yom Kippur, which was on the 10th of Tishrei. So when was Sukkot? When is Sukkot?
It's like Pesach, no?
It's like Pesach. It's also 7 days. It's actually right. So what's the date of Sukkot? What's the date of Pesach? We said Ravid told us, right? What did Ravid say? When is Pesach? 15th of Nisan. So when's Sukkot? 6 months later. Tishrei is the month. What date? 15th. 15th of Tishrei. Very good. Thanks, Shmuel. 15th of Tishrei is Sukkot, 4 or 7 days plus 1. 22nd day is Shmini Atzeret or Simchat Torah. Which brings us back to the need to review our lessons. Make sure we know it. I'll bring you a chart. We did a chart yesterday, the day before. I don't think I have one here right now, but next time.
I have one now.
Now you have one. Okay, good. I'll print up some more. I go back to Hananel. On what day of the Jewish calendar is Shavuot? Shavuot. The holiday that's coming up on Friday, Thursday night, Friday. It's going to be Shavuot. Vav Sivan, 6th of Sivan. Very good. Vav Sivan. That's right, the 6th of Sivan. So if we work it out, 6th of Sivan is the holiday. And we said we have to have 3 preparatory days. 5, 4, 3. So the third tomorrow and the next day are the 3 days of Hagbala, Shloshet Yemei Hagbala, the 3 days of limitation or of separation. We're preparing for Shavuot. We don't say Tachnun on all of those days.
That's why.
No?
But not today.
When is this one?
Today is the 2nd.
Okay. Why we didn't say it today?
We still didn't explain why I didn't
Yeah,
say
we
Tachnun
didn't.
today. It doesn't make sense. Yesterday was Rosh Chodesh. Tomorrow is going to be the 3, and the next day are the 3 days of Hagbalah, preparation. We don't say Tachnun then, and we don't say Tachnun on Shavuot either. Wait a minute. Shavuot, we don't say Tachnun, it's a Chag, right? That's the 6th of Sivan. What about the 7th of Sivan?
Yeah, Shabbat this time. But
This time it's Shabbat, but even if it wasn't Shabbat, what would it be called? No, Yom Tov is the 6th. Isru Chag, the day after the Chag.
you also don't say Tachnun.
We also don't say Tachnun.
so-
Why don't we say Tachnun on Isru Chag? Why is it a little bit festive?
Because Hashem wants us to celebrate one more day.
Mm-mm.
To savor.
No, you're thinking of Atzeret.
To savor the.
Not to savor. There's a more technical reason.
Maybe before people should travel.
No.
It's an extension of the holiday, and we.
Why is it an extension? In what way is it extended? What do we do on the festivals when we come to Jerusalem? We
have
eat,
to
we
bring,
drink.
offering, like,
We have to bring
bikurim.
offerings.
Bikurim.
Besides bikurim, we have to bring animals of offerings. Everybody that came to the Bet HaMikdash had to bring an olah and a shlamim, different types of offerings. Lots of meat. Today we don't have the sacrifices. We don't have a temple. We don't practice that. But there is a practice that we should eat meat on the festivals in commemoration of the meat of the sacrifices. Just also because we enjoy eating meat and wine. Right? In India, a lot of vegetarians. They don't eat much meat. No.
They don't eat beef.
No beef, huh? All right. Anyways, well, according to this tradition, you really should eat beef on the Chagim, on the 3 festivals. In any case, why is Isru Chag a little bit festive? The day after the festival. It comes from the word bound, to be bound up, tied up. Le'eso. Isru Chag, we bind up the festival with an extra day. Why? Because in the temple times, they would bring the sacrifices, which there was no time to bring on the first day, they brought it on the day after.
So what?
So there were sacrifices which were left over from the festival, were brought on the day after the festival, on Isru Chag. And so there's some festive offerings being brought. So there's a tradition that it's festive, a little bit festive. We don't say Tachnun on Isru Chag. Now, on Pesach, how many days is Pesach? 7 days is Pesach. And on Sukkot, how many days is Sukkot? 7 plus 1. There was actually quite a lot of time for bringing all these sacrifices of everybody because there was 7 days, or even 8 days. The one exception of the 3 festivals is, it's not 7 days.
No, it's
Shavuot. It's only 1 day. So boy, did they have a lot of leftover sacrifices. They had so many leftover sacrifices after Shavuot because so many people didn't get a chance to bring their korban on the day itself. There's a tradition that we don't say Tachnun for 6 days after Shavuot.
because of the sacrifices.
Because of the sacrifices. In the temple era, that was the center of Judaism. Very central to our Judaism was the temple sacrifices. And everybody would come to Jerusalem 3 times a year. If everybody comes to Jerusalem, they have to stay there for a little while until they get around, they get a chance to bring their sacrifice. So no Tachnun on the 7th, on the 8th, on the 9th, 10th, 11th, and on the 12th. It's like Isru Chag, not for 1 day, but for 6 days.
Yeah.
That completes a 7-day cycle, the 7 days of the festival. Shavuot doesn't really have 7 days, but in terms of Tachnun, there's 7 days with no Tachnun. The day of the 6th, which is the actual festival, and then 6 more days. So from the 7th to the 12th, we don't say Tachnun either. Tachanun, supplications. Yes.
I'm still not quite sure why we don't say Tachnun today.
Yes.
Because the bridge.
There's a festivity associated with the day. It's actually more of a commemoration of the festivity. Because nowadays we don't have a temple, we don't have sacrifices. But commemorations are important. for Jewish history, for our consciousness. And in some ways, it gives us a message that the festival does spill over a little bit onto the days afterwards. If it happened in the temple times, if the rabbis saw fit that those festival offerings could be brought for 6 more days, it must be that there's an element of festivity in those 6 days. And until today, we keep that element of festivity. How do we mark it? We don't have meat for 7 days in a row. We don't say Hallel, but we mark it in a very minimal way. We don't say Tachanun.
But you bet B'Sivan.
Up until Yud Bet B'Sivan.
No, bet.
We're getting there. We still haven't gotten there. Now you can understand. I'm trying to provide you with the answer. I'm giving you the context. What do we have so far? Aleph B'Sivan, no Tachanun because it's Rosh Chodesh. Gimel, Bet is today, we don't know yet. But Gimel, Dalet, and Hey, what are they called? Shloshet Yumei Hagbalah, the 3 days of preparation, of separation. In preparation for Shavuot, we don't say Tachanun. The 6th, that's the festival of Shavuot. 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. It's an extended Isru Chag, you could call it that. It's actually just called days which we don't say Tachanun. The days after Shavuot, 6 days in which we don't say Tachanun. So that means we have a series from 1 through 12 in which we don't say Tachanun. So the exception, of course, as you've all noticed and you're waiting to hear about, is today. Today, there's no good reason not to say Tachanun. Jewish tradition, it also has a sense of humor and a little sense of irony. You know what this day is called in Jewish tradition? It's called Yom HaMiyuchas. Yichus means to have a special significance. And the 2nd day of Sivan today is called the day with significance. Meyuchas. Yom HaMiyuchas. And most people understand that it's tongue-in-cheek.
Tongue-in-cheek?
It's a joke. It's an irony. There's actually nothing special about this day. The first day, there's something special. It's Rosh Chodesh. Day 2, 3, 4... 3, 4, 5 is the special because it's preparation. Day 6, of course, is special. Everything up till the 12th day, they all have a special significance. We're not going to say Tachanun because there's a commemoration of festivity. The one day which has nothing special about it at the beginning of Sivan is the 2nd day of Sivan. So some people understand when we call it the Yom HaMiyuchas, the significant day, it's actually tongue-in-cheek. It's actually ironic. And there's really nothing special about this day. But to keep the series going, once we're in the holiday spirit, we're starting. We know that the Jewish people came to Sinai on the 1st of the month. We're starting to prepare for Shavuot. Even though it's more than the 3 days, it's not day 3, 4, and 5. It's actually day 2. Since day 1 we already didn't say Tachanun, we'll throw in day 2 also. And it gets the character of being preparatory for Shavuot. That's one interpretation. Very cynical a little bit. Almost sounds like it's a joke, but it's brought in our tradition that perhaps there's actually nothing very special about the 2nd day of Sivan today. But the tradition is, the custom is, we do not say Tachanun today. Even if there's no Brit Milah. Yeah.
Right, because Yachas is also relations.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can't have relations with our wives...
it's the last day that we have relations. Nice. It's an opportunity.
It's a happy
I like that. I like that. It's a happy time. Although, every day you're right. Okay, we're going to be separated for 3 days. By the way, there's not, halachically, there's no prohibition today of being with your wives on the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th or even on the 6th. We don't paskin that way. This was something special about the revelation at Sinai. But I like your idea. I want to say one other idea, which is even nicer. For that, we're all going to need to open up a chumash. Behind you, there are chumashim. They look like this. I have one. And after talking about it outside for so long, let's open up Shmot Yud Tet. Just to make sure you don't think I'm lying, from page 135. Shmot Yud Tet. That's chapter 19. Page 135. You can take the green Tanakh right underneath you, on top of that, in that shelf, on top of the other books. And open up to Shmot chapter 19. It says in the 3rd month, wait, who knows their months off by heart?
3rd month?
Yeah. First one is Nisan, Iyar. Nisan, Iyar, Sivan. The 3rd month. Tammuz, Av, Elul, Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, Tevet, Shvat, Adar, Shmot, 19.
19.
Yes. So what's the 3rd month?
Sivan.
Sivan. The Torah doesn't call it Sivan. That's a Babylonian name. It came much later. Torah just numbers them. But the 3rd month we call Sivan. B'chodesh hashlishi, in the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth from the land of Egypt. What month did they leave the land of Egypt?
2nd month.
No.
Nisan.
No, the 1st month.
The 1st month, Nisan, right? Nisan. They left at Nisan. What day? 15th of Nisan. So now we're 2 months later, right? Almost. On the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth of the land of Egypt, the same day. What does it mean, the same day? Our sages interpret it means Rosh Chodesh. Because it doesn't actually say it's the 1st of Sivan, but it has this strange expression, on this same day, they came into the wilderness of Sinai. Okay. So they went. Steve, will you read for us verse 2?
For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai and had fished in the wilderness, and there Israel came before the mount.
Now 1 minute here. I have to explain this verse. The Hebrew is, take a look at the end of Pasuk Bet, Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged Ahar. And there Israel camped before the mount. Our sages point out there's a discrepancy in the text. Yisrael is plural. There are a lot of Jews. There are a lot of people. The Torah should have said Vayachanu in plural, that the Jewish people encamped. What does the text say? Vayichan. Vayichan is singular. And from here, it became almost one of the best known phrases in the words of our sages, one of the best known interpretations of the Torah, that when the Jewish people encamped, they, because of this singular tense conjugation, it shows you that they were united. Vayichan Sham Yisrael Ke'ish Echad. They were at, I'm quoting to you now from Rashi, you don't have it in front of you. I'm saying it off by heart. You see how scholarly I am. You ask most third graders, they might know this off by heart. It's such an important, such a central teaching. Ke'ish echad belev echad. They were as one person with one heart. To receive the Torah, we have to have unity among the Jewish people. They encamped there, opposite the mountain of Sinai. They encamped there, getting ready. You have to have unity. Ke'ish echad vayichan, because it's in the singular, shows you they were like one person. Ke'ish echad, with one heart, with a united heart towards their Father in heaven. Continue verse 3. What happened then? Probably on the next day. What's the next day after the first day? The second day. The second day would be today. Right? What happened today in Jewish history? According to this reading, well, up until now, the first interpretation, which we said, is nothing special. But this second interpretation is something very special. Did happen today on the 2nd of Sivan. This is what happened. Take a look. Verse 3, go ahead.
And Moshe went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You shall have seen what I did unto the Egyptian, and how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
Wow. This is what I call the mission statement. God's going to give us the Torah, but first He wants, sometimes they have a big company. They spend years trying to figure out what their mission statement is. Company has a business, it makes money, it sells a certain product, but it doesn't really succeed unless it has a mission. Why are we selling the product? What is it? Apple computers. Is it a computer company? They're selling software, hardware. What's their motto?
Most expensive.
Nah, good.
Not the point.
Something about
Take a bite in the apple and you will be happy.
that's the logo. That's a nice logo, but
Think big or something?
no, it is something to do with about productivity for the people, something like that. Bringing productivity to the people. It's a mission. There's a reason why we use a computer. It's not just about the technique.
It's like, but I heard in the Apple world, we like ideology, like.
There's also more. Yeah, it gets really developed.
People work there like.
Yeah, it's a whole philosophy, a way of life, a way of thinking. Exactly. So that's what this is. This small. How many sentences is it? Verse 4, 5, and 6. 3 verses. God tells Moshe, go tell the Jewish people, here's the deal. Are you up for it? We'll see the continuation. He goes to the Jewish people, tells them, they say yes. He goes back, tells them to prepare. We can read the rest of the chapter. But first I want to point out this mission statement. That according to this reading, Shmuel,
Yes.
this proposition, this beautiful 3 verses trying to define, we could unpack this for months, these 3 verses, what it means, what the Jewish people are doing on this earth, why God chose them, what does that mean to be chosen, there's so much to unpack in these 3 verses. But when were they given to Moshe? The 2nd day of Sivan. That's today. So there is something very significant that happened on this day. It's not merely a joke that, it's the only day without any good reason to say Tachnun between day 1 and day 12. Actually, so we call it the significant day, the Yom HaMiyuchas. Actually, it's Yom HaMiyuchas because these 3 psukim were given to us. God spoke to Moshe this mission of the Jewish people on this day, some 3,330 something years ago.
How do we know that Hashem spoke in the second day?
This is our sage's interpretation based on what I said earlier, that the first day was Rosh Chodesh, and probably God didn't come to him the first day. They were unpacking, they were just, And then it says, Moshe Alai Elohim, there's a tradition that every time Moshe goes up to the mountain, at the beginning of verse 3, it says Moshe went up to the God, so that was beginning of the day. So it's not on the first day, they just arrived in the middle of the day sometime. So at the beginning of the day after, the second day, Moshe went up to God, and God spoke to him on the mountain. Revelation. This was a private revelation, obviously. He's telling Moshe, go tell the Jewish people. And then, on the 6th of Sivan, what happens? Then there's a public revelation for everybody. Same mountain.
Rabbi, you talked about Psuk Dalet.
Yeah, 4, 5, and 6, yeah. Yeah, Dalet Hey Vav. Now, before that, I'll just say something for Stephen, on behalf of Stephen and his daughters. And for all of you really to understand. There's an amazing phenomenon. People like to think that, the Orthodox, there's no change. They're so stuck in their ways. There's been a revolution in our lifetimes, not my lifetime, but the last 100 years. In the Orthodox world, the Jewish world has changed, almost unrecognizable. What's the greatest change that's happened in the Orthodox world in the last 100 years? It's actually 150 years now. I'm referring to women's education. It used to be that all the boys got educated, they knew Aleph Bet, they had to go to school, they had to go to Cheder. Judaism was a world leader in the concept of giving schooling to everybody. It was limited primarily to boys. And until today, the tradition has a different standing for the Torah study of men and the Torah study of women. But about 150 years ago, there was a woman whose name was Sarah Schneerer. It's a funny name, that's her name. Sarah Schneerer. Amazing, revolutionary woman. She was a school teacher. And she realized that we have to start teaching women Judaism in school. Up until that day, girls would learn Judaism from their mothers at home. They would learn very well. They would copy what their mother did. They knew how to separate the meat from the milk, and they knew when Shabbat was, and they knew whatever they knew. It was a traditional teaching in the home. But what happened 150 to 200 years ago? The home was breaking down. Women were going out of the home, not Jewish homes, the secular homes. For the first time, women were getting educated in sciences, in literature, not just tutors coming over to the home. They had that in Judaism too. But in the period of the Enlightenment, women were getting more and more educated in secular subjects all around the world. And women were getting schooled. And Sarah Schneer realized that we can't have these. So the Jewish girls were getting the same schooling as well. They were getting taught sciences and languages and history, and they were not getting taught Judaism. Because we don't teach Judaism. There was no Jewish school for girls. So we have to start Jewish school for girls, and books have been written about her. She got approval from the greatest rabbis of her day, and she started schools for women. And what did she name the schools? She named the schools Beit Yaakov. Beis Yaakov, in the Ashkenazic translation. Why Beis Yaakov? From verse 3. What's special about verse 3? What does it say? God says to Moshe, go tell
To the house of Yaakov.
The house of Jacob, that's Beit Yaakov, V'taged, and tell the children of Israel. So what's the difference between Jacob and Israel? What's the difference between say and tell? Right? If you're just analyzing it in English, there's also different words in Hebrew. It's called tomar, amira, amar, it's to say. And the other one is lahagid. Lahagid is also to say. What's the difference?
I guess the first one is the feminine.
Nope, they're just different verbs for speaking, but they have a different connotation.
Pertains to the women of Israel.
Well, we're gonna. The sages came up with this idea, and they say, Tagid. Right, there's Beit Yaakov and there's Bnei Yisrael. So Bnei Yisrael, it's like Ben. Ben is Banim. Ben is the males. So Bnei Yisrael is the men. And Tagid, the verb lahagid, it has a connotation of a little bit harsh speaking. Agid is a muscle. Sometimes with boys, you've got to be, or you can be, speaking a little more direct. Whereas with women, sometimes you speak more softly. Different ways of communication. Maybe you read the book, Men Are From Mars, and Women Are From Venus. We speak different languages. We do. And men and women are different. They have differences. The way they communicate are different. And God says to Moshe, when you communicate, this is our sage's interpretation, when you communicate the Torah to the Jewish people, you have to communicate it in the right language to every person. And one division is men and women. Men speak in their language, the women speak in their language. That's why it says, Taged livnei Yisrael, the more direct, confrontational type of speech, you'll say to the Bnei Yisrael, the men, and to the women, Kotomar, Amira, the softer speech, say that to who? Beit Yaakov, the house of Jacob. This refers to the women. And so Sarah Schneer, who started up Jewish schools for women, she calls and it turned into a chain, and now it's worldwide, and now there's copies to no end. Every little Jewish girl in the Orthodox world goes to a Jewish women's school to get training. But the first schools were called Beis Yaakov, based on Pasuk 3. Yes?
I have a question. Are you saying something to us, or are you telling something?
Wow.
It's about education, I think.
That's right. That's right. Well, I think we all have a little bit of a masculine side and a feminine side. So I try to mix it up, David. I try to sometimes be a little harsh. Who doesn't remember their Jewish months? Sometimes I tell stories and I mix it up. Yeah, that's what God told Moshe. Do both. You got that? That's the introductory pasuk of verse 3. But then the content of the mission statement, verse 4, 5, and 6. According to our tradition, today is the day. Yom HaMiyuchas. Beautiful. Let's read it one more time, the verse 4, 5, and 6, to see the content of this beautiful mission statement. Okay. Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Wow. Anybody read the book before, Shmot? Did you? Was there any eagle's wings before this? I know there were miracles when we came out of Egypt. There was blood, I remember. Frogs. Kinim. There's lots of miracles. Were they ever flown on eagle's wings?
Symbolic spoken.
It must be.
Yes.
Because we don't have any. I don't think that the Jewish people actually sat on an eagle's wings. It could be a little crowded for 600,000 people to be on an eagle.
I think this is also like it's trickle down into like secular culture? Because the eagle now, like in the movie the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, the eagles always come and they save at the end of the movie. The eagles are
They're
coming,
very
the eagles
powerful
are coming.
birds, beautiful birds, the eagles, no question about it. But sure, this is the eagle's the strongest. It's known as the highest of the animal. It flows on top of the birds. It flies on top of all the other.
Winds and stuff.
The highest, yeah. Anyways, so it says, I bore you on eagle's wings, and I brought you to me. Wow. We came out of Egypt. I thought we were going into the desert. God says, no, I brought you to me. What does it mean? Where's God? In the desert?
No, he's in the pillar of the fire.
It's not a physical place. It's not a physical place. I brought you to me. I took you out of Egypt. I brought you into a relationship with me. I brought you close to me. I chose you. That's what he's going on to say, exactly what that means. I brought you unto me. And what do you think eagle's wings represent? Might, we said it's a strong bird, the eagle.
Protection.
Protection, it protects its young. What else? Power, good.
I just read in Rashi, I believe, description that the eagle carry their youngs on their back,
Nice protection, yeah.
and because they are only afraid of the catapult.
The arrows, yes.
The arrows
Yeah, nice, beautiful Rashi. What else could I carried you on wings of eagles. So I took you out of Egypt, you didn't suffer from the Egyptians anymore. Maybe quickly, maybe swiftness. You fly in the sky, there's no traffic.
Yeah.
Okay. And miraculously, obviously, the sky is associated with God. So I brought you up from the earth to the heavens. Moshe is going up to the mountain, right? So we're getting closer to Hashem. So the metaphor is flying on a bird. We can't fly with our own wings, so I put you on the wings of eagles. I brought you to me. Maybe it means I brought you to me, to the sky. Wow. Elevating you high into Shamayim.
It's protection. Like
Yeah.
the cat wings.
It's like wings, huh? Covering. Nice. Yafeh. Okay, so that's the first verse. You saw. Atem ritem. You saw. All the Jewish people. Everybody together. Almost 2 million. Who knows how many people. Ve'ata. And now. Verse 5 now. Now therefore. Here's the deal. What do we have to do? If ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant. That's it, I think. Those two things, no? Obey my voice and keep my covenant.
It's hear my voice, right? I mean,
Shema Tishma, right? Hear my voice, yeah. So obey. So when you say Shema Yisrael also, many people translate Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel. Shema has a connotation of obedience too. Accepting upon ourselves to obey Hashem. So it's not a wrong translation here, actually. Shema. If you Shamua Tishma, it's a double language of listening. So surely, that's why he says, you shall obey my voice indeed. If you surely obey my voice, or hear my voice, and you keep my covenant. Well, what's the covenant?
Bris?
Yeah, what's the bris?
The covenant is with Avraham Avinu, what he made, right?
It's true, we had a covenant way back when. You think it's referring to that one? A couple hundred years ago with Avraham? Told him he has to circumcise. Could be. Keep my covenant, but it says hear my voice. So what voice?
Oral Torah?
It's a good question.
What's gonna come?
Yeah, but the Torah is not yet given yet, no
The
covenant.
Torah is not given yet. There's no
So
covenant yet. There's no voice yet heard yet. So
only
probably
Pesach.
this is about the coming. This is the deal. I'm going to give you my voice. I'm going to give you commands. You have to obey, and I'm going to give you a covenant. You have to keep it. That's it. So it's about the future, not something what they know yet, I think. But this is the deal. I'm going to give you my voice. I'm going to tell you what to do. And I'm going to give you a pact, covenant to keep. And your job is to keep it. Okay? And then what's the deal? What do we get? Give and get. Give and get. So far, the first two phrases are what you have to give, right? What we have to commit to. Commit to hearing the voice. Would you want to hear God's voice?
No.
No. I would.
But the nation,
Maybe for a little bit, huh?
The nation was so terrified during that time.
It's terrifying, but if I had a chance, wow. Anyways, listen, it's up to you. How did they decide? I don't know if Moshe took a vote, but assumption is that the people agreed together. We know that they agreed to this deal. This is what you got to do. You got to hear my voice, and you've got to obey my voice, and keep my covenant. Okay, it's a pretty big commitment, but let's see if it's worth it. What do you get? So this next phrase, it may be the beginning of the other side of the coin. Could be what you're going to get. It could also mean what you're supposed to do. You will be for me a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine. So this explanation, for all the earth is mine, is a little unclear. But it does mention all the other nations. Kol ha'amim. So all the other people. So it means I could have had a relationship with you like all the other nations, with all the people of the world. Because the whole world is mine. Hashem created all of humanity. The entire earth is mine, says God. But you will be for me segula. Segula here is translated as a peculiar treasure. Special treasure. Segula.
But the question is, in which way?
That's it. You're right. It's a good question. So that's why we have I think, the simplest way to understand it is that what that means comes in verse 6, the next verse. Here it says you're going to be as special. First is the chosenness. It doesn't say why. You're going to be special. Treasure. Segula. Out of all the other nations. I could have chosen the rest of the earth. All the earth is mine. If I choose one people, then that means that you're a treasure. It means that you're special. Could also mean that you have to act like you're a treasure, but let's keep it simple. And God says, if you keep my covenant, you hear my voice and hear my covenant, keep my covenant, I'll make you a special treasure out of all the nations. And what does that mean? The flushing out of that comes in verse 6. Atem tiyu li, you will be for me. Mamlechet kohanim, a kingdom of priests. And a holy nation. Interesting phrase. Mamlechet. What's a melech? King. Mamlechet is a kingdom of priests. And goy means a nation. Kadosh, holy nation. So priests are not usually kings, but this is a kingdom. You're all priests. Is anybody here a Kohen? Is anybody here a Levi?
Well, one says like we Levi because we are musicians, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah. The Levites were known as musicians. It's true. No, I'm a Yisrael. I don't have any lineage tying me to the Levite tribe. I don't have a lineage that says I'm a Kohen. So we know that there's Kohen and a Levi in Israel. The Jewish people were divided up. This sounds like all of you will be for me a kingdom of Kohanim. So we're all going to be Kohanim.
But that's,
So I think a smart woman once said to me, I think it was a teacher, if everyone's special, no one's special. Right? The concept of being special means you're different. So if you're a kingdom, you're all Kohanim. Who's not Kohanim?
The other nations.
The other nations. The other nations. You'll be a holy nation. All the other nations, they'll be nations, but not holy. Well, holiness is associated with God. So you're going to be the nation associated with God. I guess that's what makes the Kohen Kadosh. The Kohen is holy, right? He's a special level of Kedusha, of holiness, because he is associated with God. So it's like not what we're used to. The Jewish people are holy. Then under the Jewish people, there's a Kohen Levi Israel. According to this explanation, the entire world are the universal people of the world. And out of the entire world, there's a small group called Kohanim. Kohanim is the Jewish people. The Jewish people are all a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Yes, Dimitri.
There is something in European Orthodox Church and in Russian Orthodox Church. Like in Vatican, only their higher, wherever is that man he is ruling the church, he is wearing kippah, but no one else is wearing kippah. In Orthodox Church of Russia, only priests wearing kippah, but no one else is wearing kippah. Like you have to take off the hat if you're going into the church.
Right.
That's the rule.
Right.
And what does it mean? It means like they are higher than all the other people. That's why that means.
Interesting. We all wear kippahs, right?
Exactly.
Right.
That's the point.
Right. The truth is, in Judaism, I don't really understand it as a statement of superiority, that we're better than anybody else when we wear a kippah. Sages tell us, there's a story in the Talmud about a great rabbi who would always cover the head of his young child. A mother would cover the head of his young child. She said, so that he will have the fear of heaven upon him. It's supposed to have an impact on us. That we're supposed to always be aware that that Hashem is above us. But it's an interesting idea. Anyways, yes, the relationship here between the Jewish people and the rest of the world, it's got to start here. This is the focal point. It's a very short, cryptic statement, but this is it. This is the deal. I like to emphasize, because a lot of people get this wrong, and they think the Jews, they're all they're all in it for themselves. They're claimed to be the superior race and very special. And the answer is, well, it's true, but it's not true. Why are we special? What makes us special? What does a priest do? He serves Hashem, but for who? On behalf of the people. The Kohen is not a Kohen unless there's people. So the Jewish chosenness is not rah because we're the best. The point is to serve the rest of the world. We are like Kohanim for all of humanity. And so, yes, we're chosen, absolutely. This is hard to get around. We're a special nation, holy nation. We have something special to it. But it's when we're called a kingdom of priests, a priest must be priest on behalf of all of the world. And it's no way to say that we have to take advantage of the rest of the world. The opposite. Perhaps our job is to connect between the rest of the world and God. We have a special role. Again, it's a cryptic, short statement. And we definitely have not more rights, but what do we take upon ourselves? No, there's no privileges, but responsibilities. We have to keep the covenant. We have to hear God's voice. I mean, again, if you ask me, I'd be happy to hear God's voice. So I think it's a privilege, for sure. But that's not the major thrust here. God is setting up a very special role for the Jewish people among the nations. but it's not one of superiority for the sake of gain, but the fact that he calls us all a kingdom of priests, meaning that there is this sense of a mission that the Jewish people have for the sake of the entire world. Kili kol haaretz. It's right there, stuck in the middle of verse 5. For all the earth is mine. He's not saying, and therefore I'm ignoring the rest of the earth. All the earth is mine. God claims ownership. Of course, I care about the entire world. Out of my care for the entire world, I'm choosing a special nation. That nation will be able to perhaps to bear my message to the world, will be able to accomplish, to fix the world through this special nation. But the entire earth is mine. I have to have a treasure in order to impact the rest of the world. This is the words which you should speak to the children of Israel. This amazing mission statement in Shemot 19. Somebody had a question here, yeah? Somebody wanted to say something? Yes, Rabbi.
Something like, of course we are chosen, but it doesn't mean we are so nice and... No, it means we need to work very hard. This is why we are chosen.
Yeah,
it's not an easy job. We need to learn Torah. We are like an ambassador for the world. We need to bring out the love of Hashem. It's our task to do this. It's a very hard target. So to be chosen, it's not like sitting in the back and let the day go. No, we need to work very hard. It's a duty. We need to do this.
Yes,
Because
it's a
when
duty.
we receive the love of Hashem, it doesn't mean to keep it just to ourselves. We are just, how we say it, to bring it out into the world. It's
Beautiful, beautiful.
Don't keep it for yourself.
Right, right. There are benefits, though. We do get, the front row seats. But we get the revelation in Sinai. We get, and there's a cost. Oh, you have to, much higher standard. You don't have to tell us, the Jewish people, about the cost of being chosen. This chosenness, many Jews suffered it as a curse, not as a treasure. The number of Jews that were killed for being Jewish.
So I'm a slichus. To be a slichus.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. Slichus is a prayer service we say. Shlichus. Shlichus. Be a shaliach, yes, be an agent of God. Yeah, that's right. This is called the mission statement.
I think, in my opinion, that every one of us is born, is created to fulfill the Almighty principles. So as long every one of us must fulfill some principles. The principles mean if you have one, I have one too.
That's right. That's right. God is the God of the entire world. Everybody. I understand. Yafeh me'od. But there's something special about the Jewish people. We got the Torah. We got the Torah, right? This is Moshe coming at Sinai. Everybody is created by God.
But not only for you.
It's not only for you, it's for us, correct? That's right. It's for us, for all of humanity.
If you have Torah, I also have Torah, because you must share with me.
Oh, there you go. Now I understand what you're saying. Yes. Okay, good. All right, we have to stop here for today. We'll continue preparing. Tomorrow is really the day of preparation, right? The 3 days. But we only have 2 days of classes left, so we have to finish off.